Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, does this look washed out to you? You probably can't even see it. It looks like washed out to me. Of course. We go live and it looks washed out.
I think
Sorry,
everything looks good on my end.
it does on Zoom.
Okay.
When you see it pop up on YouTube, and we're live right now. So, hey everyone, how's it going? This is the course drop for this month. I am annoyed at the how much it's
Oh, I see
washed out
that.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny because the live stream is what, like 20, 30 seconds delayed.
yeah.
I don't know. It's
Whatever.
just
We'll deal.
whatever.
We'll
We'll deal
deal.
with it. Welcome in, everyone. We'll give everyone a couple minutes. We'll just have a little small talk here as we wait for a couple people to join in. Scott and I are both in Denver, where it feels like we're in the middle of a tornado. Is it as windy in your side of the town as it is over here?
No, I'm trying to figure out what you're talking
What?
about. It's like gorgeous out here. Yeah, I got the windows open.
It
Yeah.
is so windy over here. We are on opposite sides of town. So I'm like northwest, Scott's just like kind of south Denver. I moved my car because I was parked underneath a tree.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
I don't want to risk this. That is how windy it is. So if you guys hear any background noises, the doors have like minds of their own right now because they're just opening and closing because it's so windy. Like had to go move around all the porch furniture. Like it's wild on this side.
That's very Denver though, because it's
I
like
know.
half
It's like
of the city could be experiencing like the most massive hailstorm in history, and then everyone else would be like sunny and beautiful. So,
it's
yeah,
like a neighborhood by neighborhood thing.
totally.
Yes. All right. So we are a couple minutes past. I think people will trickle in as we go. But welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our third drop party, which, there's always something, but I think we're doing pretty well this time around. Today we're going to be talking about exploring browser APIs. Yay!
Woo! Browser
Which
APIs.
the course is now live on Level Up Tuts if you guys want to check that out after the course drop, because of course you guys are going to want to hang out with us the entire time. The way that these course drops work, we're just going to have like a fun time. We're going to chat. It's mostly Scott. He's going to be doing all the talking about, how he built this course, why he built it, what he put into it, and what you're going to get out of it, and why the contents are interesting to you, why you should care. So let's take a step back. We'll introduce ourselves. We'll talk a little bit about Level Up tutorials in case you guys don't know what Level Up Tuts is. I'll quickly introduce myself and then I'll pass the mic over to you, Scott. I am Caitlin Bloom. I am the Director of Marketing here at Level Up Tutorials. Started back in August. I get to do a little bit of everything, which is my favorite part about the job. If you see anything marketing, it's usually from me. So we got social media, email, whatever, advertising. I get to hang out on these cool events. But in this event, I'm primarily just going to be interviewing Scott. I don't know anything about browser APIs, so don't look towards me for any expertise. um, so yeah, introduce yourself a little bit and then tell us like a little bit about Level Up tutorials in case people don't know what it is.
Yeah, my name is Scott Tolinski. I am the owner and creator of Level Up Tutorials. We started in 2012 as a way to bring a lot of tutorials to YouTube. And then here we are. And believe it or not, it's been over 10 years now, Caitlin. So that's actually kind of shocking to me. It was like March of 2022. And I was like, oh, wait, did I miss my 10-year anniversary? It's been a decade of Level Up Tutorials. So
You might need to have a delayed birthday party.
a delayed birthday party. Yeah. Yeah. It was March of 2012. But we've been doing a lot of courses for a very long time. And at one point I was putting out like 350 videos a year on YouTube, and then have moved to doing that mostly on Level Up Tutorials. In fact, my wife and I were just talking yesterday. How did I during the first year of the pandemic, we had the kids home full time, and I put out 12 courses that year of like 24 videos. So I don't know how I did that. That's wild to me, but I've been doing a lot of tutorial content for a very long time. Is really the big picture here. And that's really just it. We've largely moved to this premium tutorial model where we get to spend more time creating the content and really like putting it in a more focused way rather than just kind of doing it as it comes into my brain. So that's the scoop on Level Up Tutorials and what I've been doing for us for a long time.
Yeah. Wow. Happy 10-year birthday.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think my favorite thing about Level Up tutorials is like the content that we put out is like the hottest, the most modern, the things that like you're gonna want to learn, the things that
It's
are
the
gonna really
hottest,
level
yeah.
you up and get you
Yeah.
to that next level of your career. So yeah, it's a really cool space to be involved. So a little bit of the agenda here, like kind of touched on it before. I realize I should probably go deeper. You guys see the chat feature on the right side of the video. Use that freely. It looks like you guys are already. Wow. Okay. I love when people say where they're from. We got Ireland, Russia. Did I see Fort Collins? Very windy in Fort Collins too.
Go, yeah.
Germany. I love this. I love
Go
it. So if you
getting
guys know
Odell from Fort Collins.
oh,
Yeah.
favorite brewery. One of my
Same.
favorite breweries.
It's
I'm happy that they have a couple tap rooms out here now.
yeah, right. Seriously.
Yeah. But yeah, feel free to keep sharing where you're from. Always really cool to see where everyone's joining from. So yeah, this is the intro. We're gonna ask Scott about the course. After that, I'm gonna ask a couple more questions, and then he will take questions from the audience. So as we go through like the little interview that I'll be doing with Scott, please drop your questions in. We'll make sure to go back and find them. But we'll have a formal Q&A at the end. And depending on how many questions you have, that will kind of determine the length of this drop party. So keep the questions coming, and we'll just have a good time. Hello from Las Vegas. Very cool. Let's get into it. What do you say, Scott?
Let's go.
Let's go. So what are browser APIs? And why the heck should we care?
Perfect question. So really what it comes down to is when you browse the internet in any sort of capacity, you have what's called like the client. And the client is the thing that's accessing the website. So your phone's browser is a client, but also just anything that's choosing to access a specific web page is a client. And so the browser itself as a client does more than just render the HTML or whatever the CSS as it is. What it does is it provides a ton of additional features of ways to both interact with the browser itself or interact with your computer or just give you more functionality. And browser APIs have existed since browsers have existed, right? The ability to interact with the device or the browser. But nowadays, they are getting better and better because what's happened is we've moved into this world of web applications where we're no longer just building apps that just display text content. We're building things that can access your location. They can pinpoint you on a map. And frankly, what happens is that everyone uses a real app, a native application on your phone, and it does all these cool things with your camera, with your location, with your file system, with whatever. And we as web developers, we say, why can't we do that? Like, I want to do that stuff. That's like one of the big reasons why many times people reach for an app over a web app is that it can do a little bit more. It can interact more with the device. It can just essentially handle more different things. So really what this is all about with browser APIs is this endless list of web APIs. You can see here on the MDN docs page. This is Mozilla's document page. They are the best docs for this kind of thing on the web. In fact, we use this pretty heavily in the course itself. You can see there is a ton of web APIs that allow you to interact with all sorts of things. Even things that people might not even realize are browser APIs, like the fetch API. The fetch API is simply just some code to go fetch some data. We use it all the time. But you might not realize that's part of all of this whole thing that the browser gives you, and that there's a ton here, from picture-in-picture to page visibility to the canvas, but even like really hyper practical ones, stuff that's in web apps you use every day, like the clipboard API, where you can copy and paste, but experimental ones like the gamepad API or a MIDI API where you can control things with MIDI sound. So there's a lot here, and basically this is the way that you can interact with both the browser and the device from JavaScript.
Muted. I was muted.
Oh, I was like, we broke it already. I fixed the color, by the way. It was my fault. It's always my fault.
It's not always your fault. So yeah, it sounds like we're all interacting with browser APIs like on a day-to-day basis without really realizing it. It also sounds like we're probably not using our browser APIs to their fullest potential, right?
Yeah,
Which I do
definitely.
think is like the purpose of this course, if I'm not wrong.
You are not wrong.
Exploring the potential of what you can do with your browser. So how did you choose to do the topics that you covered in this course right now?
Yeah. It's funny. That when I'm looking for topics, I'm often looking for things that are like interesting. But when I recently did a video on the YouTube channel that was, you don't need, what did I call it? You don't need a dependency or something. It had a kind of obtuse name, but you don't need a dependency, the clipboard API. And one of the things I talk about in that video is that there's this problem where people say, I want to interact with the clipboard. I'm building a React app. What do I need? I guess I need a React clipboard plugin. And they install this thing that is really like 20 some lines of code that they really didn't need to install. And in fact, if you would look at the API, you could see that it's like a one-liner of code that you can write yourself. So many people reach for these solutions off the shelf when they can just write it themselves, and they might not know that they can. So the premise here was that I had made this video, and I got so many comments about people saying it was like, you should do more of these. And I was thinking, well, you know what? And I will do more of them, by the way, because I have a lot of ideas. But more so, I was thinking like, you know what? I think there's just some of these techniques that are just not widely taught enough or not pushed enough. When we have all these frameworks, we have all these tools that you could just go and pull whatever. Well, we have the source right here. We have the MDN docs. Let's do a course that not only teaches you the basics. We talk about, the difference between browsers, how browsers implement these APIs, how you can test to make sure that you can even use them, but also how you can explore these documents. So more so than just even teaching you a handful of browser APIs, which we do, we also teach you a little bit more about how to dive into APIs further, which I think is like a really critical skill that gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like you found that there was a demand for this and also a big knowledge gap.
Yeah, and also I just like the stuff. It's exciting for me, right? I got to build like 16, 17 little demos and just goof around with some stuff for a little while and play with APIs that I have known and used for a long time, but also some that I haven't, that are brand new, that I wanted to really dive further into. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, it was fun to hear your commentary as you were building the course. You were stoked. You're like, I'm having so much fun. This is so cool. And you had like a surplus of content, right? You're like, I don't even know what to put in this because there's so many interesting things that people should know. So it was really cool to see like secondhand how stoked you were when you were building it.
This course could be like 40 videos long if I had the time. and it probably will be getting a part 2, because as you can see from this massive list, there's an endless amount of things to talk about here. And it's like, where do you draw the line? And I had to pull some of the APIs I wanted to talk about here so that I could fill in, not like some more basics and beginner stuff, some more foundational stuff, but also some foundational stuff that you might overlook as a beginner. And these are the types of things like browser detection. And is browser detection a good idea? And we get into some nuance there. So, I mean, there's a lot of topics that I wanted to add in that only came to me after I'd already made, 20 of these demos and were like, you know what? I think I need more context here, more context there.
You're already kind of hitting on my next question. It was going to be asking about how you put together this course. What was your process in choosing the topics? Sound like you wanted a little bit of like all levels. Is there anything else you wanted to add in terms of your process in building and choosing the topics in this course?
Yeah, I wanted to make everything fun. Not all of these APIs are fun. Let me tell you, like the page visibility API isn't like fun. It's an API that determines if the tab is currently open. So if you tab off of a page, then it fires an event. And what we do in the video for that is teach like, all right, you want a video that only, or audio that only plays when the user's on that page. Here's how we stop the audio. Here's how we restart the audio. Here's how we even just like, here's how we change the favicon or the page title with that status of whether or not you're currently tabbed onto that page. And like inherently, that's not that much fun. So, but I think it's really useful. So, in picking some of these APIs, I picked ones that were useful and then some that were fun. And we kind of go back and forth between. So it's like almost like foundational, useful, fun, foundational, useful, fun. And at the end of the day, you're going to walk away feeling more confident working with the browser, but also feeling a little inspired to really take on some of these things a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, I have a feeling that your energy and excitement about your topics are going to be pretty contagious in the course. They are for me, and I haven't even.
I get excited. I think that's a characteristic of mine that, like, if I get excited about something, it's really hard for me to be like, yeah, this is pretty fine. Wow, we're doing this in the browser? I can't believe it. This is so cool.
So cool. I know. And I think that's what that's how you chose the topic, is what you said. You're excited about it, and of course that's going to be contagious. All right, cool. So what will people learn and what will people build?
Yeah. So they'll build, let's see, I fired up. This is kind of the outline of it. This isn't the total outline. The actual full outline is, let's pop this open on the site here. They'll build all this stuff, okay? So I don't know what finding is. I need to I think I goofed that title up when I published this like 10 seconds ago. So this should be finding DOM elements. So the beginning of the course is really getting into some of the basic stuff that is super foundational, some stuff that we use throughout the course. So we first learn modern methods for finding DOM elements. This is something that everyone's been using jQuery for a long time. In fact, the next you don't need a dependency should be jQuery, because you don't need jQuery, you just flat out don't need it. And here we show you all the modern techniques for finding elements and modifying them. Then we talk about events, and we talk about listening for events, event bubbling, what it means to attach an event to something, and how we go about doing that. Like you click a button and then respond to that click. And then the other foundational topic is creating HTML elements. So a lot of times we're working with frameworks where you're just writing JSX or Svelte or Vue code, and you're not thinking about the creation of elements with JavaScript. But many times when we're working with web components or some of this new stuff, and frequently just JavaScript, right? Like if I ping my file system and I get a bunch of files, how do I create those DOM elements, put the information into it, and then insert that into the page and then interact with it further? So a lot of those foundational stuff. We dive into the Navigator and user agent stuff, talking about what the heck Navigator is. Frequently throughout this course, you say Navigator dot something, or frequently you often hear the user agent referred to as a thing to like identify a browser. Like, I'm going to spy on the user agent to see if this is Safari or not. But then you get into it and you look at the user agent, and it's this giant mess of a string that says it's a Mozilla, but it's also 800 other things, and then gets really confusing, right? So we talk a lot about the history even of why it's like that and what kind of information you can even get out of that. And then we start to dive into real API. So we talk into the clipboard API, talk about copy and paste. We talk about permissions, how you can access the permissions, and why that API kind of stinks. It's like a really promising API, and like many developers will approach that and be like, yes, I have this permissions API, and then we find out that it's not implemented at all. So we talk a little bit about the pitfalls of that. We talk about feature detection, pasting from the clipboard, text to speech. We talk about text to speech with full control over the voice that you're using, the speed, all those types of things. The share API. The share API is something that everyone's probably used on their device, right? You're on Twitter, you click share, it brings up that little dialogue. Well, you can use that in web apps, and nobody does. And not nobody does, but a large part of people don't. But then we also get into the darker side of the share API and why it sucks on the browser and or the desktop browser, and how we can get around that aspect. How we can do mobile detection. We can detect if a device is mobile or not. And we can start to integrate with browser or device sensors and settings. Like, you can get all sorts of anything you want about the user's battery. So like, is the laptop currently plugged in? What's the battery percentage? Is it charging? And like, these things are kind of like, this is a fun one because it's not really as useful as some of the other things, but you could do a lot of really creative things with the battery that many people don't think of, or you can interact with your sites in very like native ways that you don't think about. And then we get into geolocation, which is maybe one of the most used of these APIs that we cover. It's just getting your precise location. I'm very specific in this course not to reveal my home address, because I think the first time I recorded, I like turned it on, it was just like a zoomed in thing of my house. I was just like, oh yeah, that's not what I want to put on this course. So file system API, which is like honestly my favorite one in this course. So if you don't know about the file system API, the file system API is a way that you can interact with the actual files on your computer. And typically we think about like you upload a file and then you modify it and then maybe you download a file. But the file system API allows you to actually write. So read and write to files. And by this second video here, this one that's 26 minutes long, it's kind of hefty video, file system API directories. What we're doing is we're saying, let me pick a directory on the user's machine, and then it generates a, like you in like Finder or Windows Explorer or whatever, it generates all the directories. You click on a directory and then it takes you into it and then shows you all the files there. You click on that, and then if you select a file, it tells you information about that file. So it's like a very like quick and dirty file explorer on your local machine in the browser. And these APIs are available. So a lot of neat stuff.
Okay, so in my simple non-developer brain, this is how this is making sense to me, and correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like a lot of people prefer to use apps, like download apps, because it's a more personalized experience. It feels like it's a lot more, like yours.
Yeah.
And using browser APIs can make your web browser experience feel a little bit more personalized.
Definitely can make it feel more native. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe not more personalized, but more native.
Okay.
Where in like a lot of things like your phone can do certain things like I guess like a good example would be like the picture-in-picture API. You have a video you're watching on, and YouTube's a terrible example for this because they've implemented it poorly, but like on the iPhone, if you pay money on the YouTube app, if you swipe up, you get a little picture-in-picture that you can drag around. Well, you can utilize that same picture-in-picture portal functionality on the phone using these APIs and the desktop. I think on the desktop actually. So a lot of these things are like that. Also like push notifications, right? You get notifications. There's a push notifications API. A lot of interesting things like that. So
wow. Yeah. Endless.
Endless, yeah. There's too many to cover here, and that was like a big thing. In fact, one of the ones I really wanted to cover that we didn't get to in this course, that's in the part 2 notes, is the Bluetooth API. It's like working with Bluetooth devices directly in the browser. And then I was like, do I really want to put myself through that? I don't know. We'll see.
It does sound like it opens a lot of doors for creativity and adding like new layers of experiences to your websites.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what are some of the you've touched on this already here and there, but what are some of the concrete benefits of knowing more about browser APIs and implementing them?
I think flat out, they make you a better developer. They make you a better JavaScript developer. Anytime you're reaching for a library, you're adding something into your code base that could get out of date. It can add bloat where you don't need it. It can do things you don't want it to do. It adds just a layer of complexity. And so like many times, like I say, like with this clipboard API is the best one, right? You don't need a library to do that stuff. And just having that tool in your tool belt makes you a better developer to say, oh yeah, this black box of this plugin that I installed that's actually 10 lines of code, and I only need one of those lines of code. Like I can write that line of code. That makes me a better developer. That makes me understand the system a little bit more. And not only that, this stuff's not going anywhere. These things have been implemented in the browser, and sure, some browser APIs can be deprecated and removed, but it's unlikely that they'll change that much unless they're experimental. In fact, if anything, you're only going to get more supported, in like a lot of the bumps that we have in the course is around which browsers support this feature and which ones don't. So if anything, it's only going to get better. And even in that regard, they're not going to get worse. So I'm about creating content frequently now that is not going to go out of date the week I publish it. That's been like a big concern of mine. Many courses that I've put out in the past, They do. They push a minor update and it just like makes it go out of date. But this content's going to stay in date for a very long time. And if something is slightly out of date, it's not going to be a syntax thing. It's going to be a support thing, and it's going to be more supported. So I think getting in on something like this will straight up make you a better developer, and it's going to be able to give you some skills that you can impress some people with. And a lot of the stuff I think will find its way into job interviews and all that stuff.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, it seems like it's a good way to market yourself, or you kind of get an edge up on other people having this like evergreen content. Yeah, we want to be better than everyone, right?
Yeah, well, there's so many, like, it's funny. There's so many browser APIs. I wish when I interviewed at Google, they asked me some stuff, and and I had to be like, oh, I know how to do it using this library, and I don't think that was that impressive to them to say like, I can use this tool. They're like, well, don't you know how to use the browser tool? I'm like, I don't use it, so I haven't had to learn it. So I like I said, I think fundamentals and browser fundamentals specifically are always going to look good on a resume.
Beautiful. So we talked a little bit about how stoked you were while building this course. What got you like the most excited? What was one of the coolest things you discovered while looking at this massive document of APIs?
I discovered that you can write a file editor in the browser in, let's find, I don't know how many lines of code it is because I don't think I have it open. I found out that you can write a file editor, and what we do in the video is we open SVG files, and when you have that SVG file, we modify it and then click the save button, and then it updates the local file. So I found out that you can do that. Let me pull this up. File system. Sorry, everyone. Just to get how many lines of code this is for everyone, you can do all of that. An SVG file writer, you can do all of that in 48 lines of vanilla JavaScript. And that's even with console logs. I mean, so it's like less than 40 lines of JavaScript. You can build a very bare bones file editor in the browser without any libraries. And granted, it only works on Chrome, but if you're shipping this as like an Electron app or anything like that, you get control over that browser, so it's going to be Chrome. So I was just amazed that how much you could accomplish with that. And it's as simple as, all right, you have this file, you have the file handle of itself, you can grab the text, throw it in a text area, modify it, pass it back to the handle, save it, and then now it's saved on the device. And the only like thing that's there is the browser pops up with a little window. It's like, do you want to give the access? Give that access, go. That's it. And I was shocked by that because I hadn't really done anything with the file system API in any practical way. And I knew it existed, but I wasn't expecting it to be that simple. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff there.
Sounds like almost so simple that maybe I could do it.
I love the confidence there.
Yeah, we can at least try. Yeah, that sounds. I mean, we love simplicity. We like things that make our lives easier.
Yes, we do.
A lot of that in this course. Awesome. So, to tie it all together, who do you think this course is good for? Who would you recommend it to? Is there anybody the course isn't good for?
The course is not good for people who have worked with these APIs extensively. Because we're not breaking new ground here. We're teaching these APIs in a way that is more for beginner developers who are looking to become intermediate and intermediate developers who don't have a lot of experience with native APIs. So if you've done something with the file system API and you've built a file editor or something like that, you're not going to get a ton out of this course because that's about as advanced as it gets. It's not an advanced course, but it is definitely a good foundational course to build a lot of those skills that you might have missed along your way.
Perfect. Awesome. Those were the only questions I had for you. Is there anything else that you wanted to share that I didn't ask about?
You know what? I don't know. One minor thing too. So we do it's all what's called vanilla JavaScript, as in there's no dependencies or frameworks or anything, but we do use something called Vite to just make it run smoother when I save a file, like as auto updating. But one neat thing that I did with this course that I don't usually do is that I've provided a Git pod, and this is in these will be in the video descriptions, so that if you want to take this entire course without ever writing any files locally, you can take this Git pod that we have here, and you open up the examples folder, you pick the example that we're doing, and then you just start writing your code, and you can do it all in browser. So that's like a nice little addition that you don't have to do any of this local dev stuff. You can do it all in Gitpod, and that's really neat. So just a small addition, but nothing really too exciting. Audio, mute. There you go.
I was like clicking around finding links, and so I was like, I don't want to make noise. Awesome. Yeah, I can tell people are already excited about this in the chat. Right now is the time to take some questions from the audience. So I think that there were a few that are sprinkled throughout our live. So there's some up there. But please, if you guys have any other questions, drop them in now, and we'll work through them. Let's see. Let's go to the top. Any advice? Okay, this one's from Chris. Any advice for starting out as a freelance web developer? Best ways to get yourself out there?
Oh, yeah, this one's tough because besides like just letting everyone know. But at the end of the day, you're not going to. It's not going to hurt to have a blog. It's not like the classic things that people say to start a blog and just put things you learn online. Like I couldn't tell you how many times I'm searching for something online and somebody's personal blog pops up and it's like a savior for me. And I think those kind of things really do work. But in the same regard, we always say on Syntax to just tell everyone. Everyone knows someone. And I use my realtor as a good person for that, because like he's always letting me know, hey, if you know anybody that's looking for a house, just let them know that, I'm here. And he was such a good asset for us that like anytime anyone recommends anytime anyone's looking for anything, I think of him immediately. So if you let people know, I'm out there, I'm looking for work, I'm here to do work, I'm a developer, I do awesome stuff, then who knows, a friend of a friend finds somebody, they'll send them your way, and the referral game really works. So and even asking for referrals when you finish with a project, like again, I'm going to use my realtor because he's the man, and he'll send like a thing, and it's just like a card in the mail. It's like the greatest gift you can give me is a referral to someone else. Like, and it's just like a nice way to say, hey, if this project went great, and anyone else that's looking for work, give me a referral. That'd be really great. And who knows, before you know it, if you might be full up on your calendar after no time. But yeah, it's a game. You just gotta hustle for it. And personally, me, I wasn't cut out for that, which is one of the reasons why I primarily worked at agencies, because yeah, it's a hustle for sure.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I think sharing your goals with people really help. Like it crosses every career. Like no one knows what you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to do if you don't tell them. So sharing your goals, that's always helpful.
That's how we found you. You reached out to us saying like, I'm looking for work.
I know, it was
perfect.
Instagram DM. It was so simple. Yeah. You just gotta like let people know you're open to it, and what you can do, what you want to be doing, and it sometimes works out really well.
Open yourself up to the universe. Yeah.
Exactly. Manifest it. That's our advice.
we were just watching the We Crashed show, and who is it? Anne Hathaway, I think that's her. Yeah, she says manifest like 1,000 times in that show. So Courtney's like, everything's manifested now, I guess.
It's easy. It's obviously concrete and works every time. Before we jump into the next question, I wanted to share a Google form with you guys. This is a 3-question survey. And if you fill it out, you will be entered to win a free month of Level Up Pro. I wanted to do it now because it gets lost in the mix at the end and people drop off early.
Smart.
All you got to do, name, email, and then you can, it's basically 2 questions. We will contact you after. If you are the chosen one, it's no strings attached. It's just a little, potential present.
Yeah, we're not going to market to you from this. So
yeah, unless you say yes. but you can say no.
Well, yes, correct.
Correct. Yeah, so for it's a free month of Level Up Pro. You get access to, what is it, 130 courses? 100.
I've lost track. It's a lot of courses and even more videos.
200 courses.
Several thousand videos. Yeah.
Yeah. All good stuff. And you get access to all that for a whole month. Who doesn't love that? Okay. I'll share that link again a little bit later. But
I also pinned it as well for you.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, awesome. Cool. Let's see. What other questions are there? Our web.
Caitlin, you need to open up the form. Let's see. Sorry to interrupt you.
Is it something's wrong with it?
I think it is. People are saying they need permission.
Okay, let me quickly. How about you find a question and answer it?
Okay, I will do that. We will get this. We'll get it fixed up, folks. This is our third course drop, by the way. So I guarantee you by the 12th one, we're gonna be a whole year of these under our belt. Okay, so what's funny, when people were talking about permissions, they were also talking about permissions for the file system. So I was like, oh, are they just talking about the file system API? Okay, so one of the questions here says, what's your opinion on the level of permission the browser could get on your system regarding privacy? Yeah, so basically the user is having to authorize any file system writes or reads. So if I'm choosing to open a directory, there's going to be a prompt that says, hey, are you sure you trust this web application to read all of your directories? And now granted, here's another thing. The file system API is only available through HTTPS. So any site that doesn't have an SSL certificate, it's not going to work. So granted, I think maybe a service could be sending off a list of your browsers and your files and whatever to a text listing of that stuff. I think you do have to do it on a per case basis, and most of these sites and services in which you're going to be giving access to is going to have like a privacy policy in place to say this is what we will and won't do with your data. Like we have a privacy policy and we don't do anything with your data, so like everybody's got one. I wouldn't necessarily go willy-nilly giving access to my file system to every random website, but I think it's cool that at least you have the option to. Someone says, Steven says, what was the hardest part of developing this specific browser API course? Anything you didn't know before you started? The hardest part was dealing with the different levels of compatibility with many of the APIs. So what you'll get into in this course is not just how to deal with the share API, but deal with the fact that the share API it only works in some situations, and what do we do about that? And likewise, not just the share, just about all of the APIs in the browser have different capacities. So like some browsers will allow you to do this part of the API, but not this part of the API. And what are the recommended methods for checking to see if this functionality exists? And what can we do about that? Do you display a message? Do you offer an alternative? Do we just not show it to the user? So that was the hardest part, is like, all right, I have this great demo, and then you pop it open in Firefox or Chrome or Safari, and it just flat out doesn't work. And you're like, shoot, now I have to come up with a alternative means for this demo or an understanding of it. I think that was the hardest part. And that's going to be, honestly, as you're being a developer consuming these APIs, that's going to be the hardest part, too. I mean, that's kind of the hardest part about web dev in general, so. Okay.
I'm over here, like, my dog is, if I seem distracted during that question, my dog is having a very loud dream.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, I'm like slightly kicking him, and he's just sleeping through.
He's like, our dogs.
Like these little squeals.
Just a little nudge, a little foot nudge. Courtney always accuses me of snoring when it's like our dog, and our dog sleeps like right kind of by our head sometimes, and he's a little guy, but he makes a lot of noise. She'll be like, Scott, you're snoring. I'm like, I'm not even asleep. Like, you can hear the dog. The dog is like, going down.
It's always a dog first.
It's always the dog.
I don't know what he's probably dreaming about, chasing squirrels and balls. Who knows? All right. Did you answer the questions that were a little further up?
Yes.
Also, by the way, the form's good to go now. Sorry about that. The ones that were up a little bit higher.
If you're feeling like we missed your question, you can ask it again. But it looks like we have a new one in here.
Can geolocation API bypass VPN?
Oh, you know what? It's no. In fact, the browser location or the geolocation API, it is kind of dependent on some of those things. So if you have like a spoofer in place in front of it to say like, I'm actually in this location. In fact, in the course, to avoid showing you my home address, I actually put in essentially that. So, you know what? Some of those things are a little bit tougher to get around. So, yeah, the browser's kind of like at the mercy of whatever the information the device is giving it, and if it's being spoofed higher up, it's going to be tough to do that. I think it's probably easier to get around the VPN stuff in terms of like not being able to spoof that on an iPhone, and that's like pretty much it. You know, if I notice anything that complains more about anything, it's a lockdown platform like an iOS. Unlike Android, I was always way easier to spoof anything location-wise. But
interesting. There's another one up here. What about API integrations with front end? Any recommendations for that? That's from Atharv.
It's further up. That's the whole question.
What about API integrations with front end?
This is all API integrations with front end. So if I understand the question correctly, this is all just client-side JavaScript, all front-end code, and this is reading and writing to the DOM. This is working with CSS. This is working with JavaScript. So yeah, no server-side stuff here in this course.
So recommendation was just to take the course. Yes. And then one from Sahil. Will it be possible to create extensions after this course?
Possible, yes, but we don't show you how to build extensions. A lot of the times extensions are about interacting with the DOM content or these browser APIs, doing something with that code, and then just having it work on the browser. Like, for instance, an ad blocker, Caitlin. You might not know how an ad blocker works, but an ad blocker primarily is some JavaScript code that's hunting through the DOM, hunting through the code to look for anything that could be an ad. A link to a URL that's restricted, a div with a class of ad on it or whatever, or one of their special ones. And if it's there, then all it does is run some very simple code to say, hey, you disappear. In fact, we teach that code. Hey, you disappeared. Code is easy. But we don't go over any of the things about actually creating an extension, but we do teach a lot of things that could be very useful in creating extensions.
Interesting. The more you know. Let's see. Okay, now we have a couple that popped in at the bottom. Can these APIs go deeper than WASM? W-A-S-M?
Caitlin, that is WASM, in case for future.
WASM.
So can these APIs go deeper? I think they might be deeper than WASM. So WASM is WebAssembly, which is basically to say that you can run code that is not JavaScript in JavaScript. You're running like Rust code or Java or C. You're running these other languages in the browser, and these languages can do a lot of really intense stuff like video codec rendering, right? You can now all of a sudden drop a really complex program that could only run on the server and can run in the browser. What these APIs are more or less more of like a portal into working with different things on your device or with the browser, rather than like WASM itself. If it is interacting with your file system, WASM's using that browser file system API to do that, to grab that file, then interact with it. As far as I haven't done a ton of WASM beyond the basics. In fact, it's still pretty new territory in general. So these APIs will work well with WASM. I don't think they can go further than WASM as in because they're like a gateway into your machine or your device a little bit more so. Your webcam, your geolocation, your sensors. In fact, one of the APIs I really wanted to get to was like, this is the kind of stuff I built in school in college, was like you pick up your laptop and you rotate it, and I wanted to make it go when you rotate it and make it sound the other way, because that's this kind of stuff I used to love to build. And I didn't, it's in the part 2 for me. I want to do it for part 2, but like again, it is like more of a gateway to interact with your device or your browser. WASM. Yeah, there will be a WASM course on Level Up at some point here, but it's like the hard part about WASM is like, oh, if I'm teaching WASM, then I kind of got to teach another language first. It's like, oh, do I do like a Rust for JavaScript developers? And then it's like, then I do a WASM and Rust course. That's 2 courses that I have to do. So they're coming. I just got to figure out the best way first. Yeah.
2023, maybe, or 2024. Stay tuned. Okay. Let's see. Ryan asks, you may have answered this already. What was the reason you decided to keep these APIs for this course and move the other APIs to a possible second course?
I wanted to have some fun and practical and just like mix it in there. So like if I noticed there was too many unpractical fun ones, I was like, I can't have this entire course just be like non-practical examples. I need more practicality in here. So that was really it. Especially like, or some of them I just straight up, I made the sacrifice to say, I would rather do like spend 30 minutes on the file system API than spend 15 minutes on the file system API and try to shoehorn a device one in here as well. So a lot of it was I had a big old list of examples, and I just kind of cranked through them. And if things felt weird or the flow felt off, I just shuffled it around and moved it around, and next thing you know, we have this final course, and now I have a secondary list, which isn't complete, by the way. So if there's like specific APIs that people, if you're taking this course and you're saying, this is really great, but I really want to do these APIs instead, it would be really great to know that as well. And that way we can make sure we cover those.
Cool. Yeah. Nice balance of fun and practical, and also enough intrigue to keep you
yes. That's why we're hooking you so that you have to subscribe for next month. And
yeah, that's actually what it is. Let's be real. Yeah. I'm so bad at name pronunciation. Shabazz.
I don't know.
Shabazz.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it any better.
They're really cool names. I'm sorry for butchering it. Does learning the browser API help in building PWAs?
Yes. PWAs, progressive web apps. A PWA, Caitlin, is so you're this is like an education for you here.
I love this.
Like
I'm here learning.
So a PWA is essentially a web app that functions more like a native app. So a lot of what we were talking before is like, this is helping us bridge that gap. And a PWA can even be installed on your home screen like an app, so that when you click it, you don't even know it's in a browser window. And so Apple kind of notoriously has like neutered these a little bit because they want that 30% revenue on the sales, but they have a lot of really good support in other ways. Desktop, they have really good support in Android, and they even have decent support on iOS. Don't get me wrong. It's just not great. Either way, these things are taking us to a closer degree of being able to interact with the web in a way that feels more like a native app, and PWAs accomplishing the same goal in a different way. It's a match made in heaven. So yeah, PWAs definitely, if you want to build PWAs, these types of things will get you better at that.
Progressive web apps. Cool. Would you use it more on a progressive web app compared to a website?
Maybe. Yeah. The hard thing is that, like, so progressive web apps on Android, if you go to an app, they have a little pop-up that's like, would you like to install this app? And you can click yes. But like on the iPhone, you can't. And the user has to go 3 dots, add app to home. So it's like a giant pain. So they'll make your apps feel more native is really what it comes down to. Yeah.
Cool. That's very cool. I wonder if you know the answer to this question from Ricky. What are the best browser APIs to use in Web3?
Oh, I don't know. Web3 for me is, it's like a gap in my knowledge in terms of like, I don't know. We talk about this on Syntax. We're in a wait and see kind of mode. Like, there's no reason you got to get in now on this stuff. If it really truly is like a new paradigm or new way of building websites, there's absolutely no rush or hurry, right? You can wait for it all to mature a little bit. So specifically, if there is any practicality there, I'm not quite sure, but
yeah, seems like there's probably something, but
yeah,
you'll of course on that in a few years.
Here's one thing I do see QR codes used in some of that context for grabbing, if you have a link you want to, or even like you're sharing that direction. And we don't use this in the course, but there are browser APIs to access the web camera in that sort of way, where maybe you have like a QR code on your phone and you're using that to point towards your webcam that is then executing something. But other than that, I don't know specifically what these may do specifically for Web3 or blockchain tech at all.
Mm-hmm. Gotta be something. Okay, there's one more pretty great question, and then let's see, we have 8 minutes. 8 minutes left. Let's answer that, and then we can maybe tie things up unless there's just like an absolutely incredible question that pops in. So Gary's wondering if you can give a couple examples of practical applications that they will learn in this course.
Yeah, practical applications, copy and paste, even just copy, right? That's a simple one. You have an input, a text input. You see this all the time in applications. I could fire up Discord right now and show you there's an invite to the link, and right next to it's a copy and paste button, or even GitHub, right? Copy and paste is like something that we use all over the place. So that's super practical right there. And that's like a quick one that we teach you in no time. But other than that, geolocation is hyper practical. We give you the latitude and longitude, and we basically show you in no time at all how to get the user's latitude and longitude, and then drop it right into a map, immediately a map. That's super practical. This text to speech, man, I text to speech is one of those things that I didn't think it would be as easy or as cool as it was. And I made an app that can talk to me to do all sorts of stuff. In fact, this is fun. I built a real app that if I'm dancing, it shouts out a new dance move for me every 10 seconds. So that it at random, like if I'm wanting to connect certain dance moves I've never connected before, it'll be like, do a head spin. And it's like, yeah. So it doesn't seem like the text to speech is that practical, but honestly, it's pretty neat. Oh, the share API is super practical. Not enough people are using that. And granted, there is some support issues with the share API. But in fact, let's even look at the support for the share API. If we want to just simply share, no Firefox, no Internet Explorer, who cares? No web view for Android. Also, who cares? It's a web view. It has normal Chrome. But you have really good support for this thing. And because you have really good support for it, whether that's the desktop or not, man, that share API is really great to use, to not have to build your own share widgets. And the fact that it can integrate with the user's Twitter app rather than just copying and pasting to their clipboard or whatever it may be in a link. It is pretty key to making your thing feel a little bit more legit.
Yeah. Ease. We like ease. Okay. There's one more question that popped in, but as you answer that, or before you answer that, just want to kind of tie a couple of things up. Want to remind everyone that's in here to go fill out that little Google Doc that's pinned. You'll be entered to win a free month of Level Up Pro. No strings attached. Just for coming and hanging out. Who doesn't love free stuff, right? Also just want to drop the link to the new course. You get to do the first, five videos for free? 5?
You can do the first 5 videos for free, yeah.
So get a taste for it, see if you like it, if you want to continue, Also, as we're doing it, here is a link to the Discord. If you're not in there already, it's a really fun place. There's a lot of really active people always wanting to help everyone else either work through the courses or, get help on a resume. We don't need another tech community, but ours is the best, right? So come join, get questions answered. Scott's really active in there. So if you want access directly to him, that's where to do it. If you have other questions,
I'm almost too active in there.
yeah, you need to shut up. No, it's a fun spot. I feel like we talk more about like fun stuff than code sometimes. So it's a cool place. There's, I think people make like their best friends in there, and it's a fun spot. So those are all the links I wanted to share. And as you guys are clicking into those and doing all your exploratory stuff in the links, let's answer the last question from Ryan. Because it's kind of cool just looking into your process a little bit, Scott. What's your process for learning all these technologies really quickly? Do you have any go-to small projects that you build with different tech to solidify your knowledge? Or do you just go through docs?
My as somebody who has ADHD, I'm dyslexic, reading for me, not great. So I'm not good at reading docs. In fact, I'm the type of person that will struggle through something for like several minutes and then like look it up, and it'll be like in the first sentence, do not do it this way. And I'll be like, oh, I did it that way. Oops. So for me, the most effective way for me to learn quickly is to have a good small project, as in something that has no restrictions to get up and running. Too oftentimes people are like, I want to learn X, Y, and Z, and then they spend 2 hours doing the setup, and by the time you're done with the setup, you're like, well, I've lost all of my motivation to actually do the thing. So for me, having like a way that you can quickly and easily get up and running is pretty key. So for instance, if I'm working on a Svelte thing that is just Svelte, I pop open to the Svelte website, I open up the REPL, and I just start typing. I don't worry about creating a project. I don't worry about any of that stuff, local, anything. I just start working in a way that allows me to get instant feedback. For this type of thing, it is like saying, all right, this is the thing I want to learn. I have kind of a goal in mind. My goal in mind is to I want to take my current location, put it on a map. Okay, what do I have to do that? All right, I need the longitude and the latitude. How do I get that? And I just start starting backwards from like, where do I need to end up, and where do I need to go to get there? And I just start getting my hands dirty. And in that fact, that's always been the way that I've learned anything, is to just grind through it, work at it. Beat your head up against the wall for a little bit, and then you get it. And what happens is, along the way, is you learn not only the way to do it, but you learn like 10,000 ways not to do it, which is honestly almost more important. I think some people always get hung up and they say like, I'm stuck in this tutorial hell where I've done 10,000 tutorials, but I don't know how to implement any of this stuff without the tutorial. And so part of that is learning just as much what are the things that I shouldn't be doing, or what doesn't work. What's the failures of this, as well as like what you can learn. So it's just trying a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, can I do it like this? Can I do it like this? Can I break it? Can I break it is a question I'm asking very frequently. Yeah. So that's a bit into that process.
Yeah, from what I've heard from people who have religiously taken your courses, you can really feel that, like, that process in your courses. Like, other people who don't really like reading documentation, they can feel that in your courses, which is why they like it. Yep. You're getting the videos, you're getting like someone who went and did a practical application of these technologies, and that's pretty valuable, because you do all the hard work and then you give them the best stuff, right?
Yes, exactly. In fact, I'm gonna link a Too Fast Too Furious they were not Vercel at this point. They were still, what was Vercel before they were Vercel? They were Zeet. Yeah, no, I'm just like saying a bunch of words.
Okay, I have no idea if I'm supposed to know this.
So I gave a conference talk for there's all these words that sound the same in web right now. So in Zeit Day, I gave a talk called Too Fast, Too Furious. And I'm going to find that talk and post it in the chat. And it's all about how I learn things quickly in web development. Like, that's the whole entire premise of the talk. So I'll find that here and post it in the chat real quick.
Yeah, let's do that. Do you guys have any other questions? We are at time, which is fine. It's not like we're going to run out of things to talk about. But we do appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us for an hour on your Friday, from all around the world. We had people from India and Russia and Germany and Colorado, a couple people from Colorado.
Yeah, it's incredible, right?
I know. It's very cool. But yeah, again, really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. We hope you check out the new course. Connect with us on Discord. Again, make sure you fill out that form to get entered to win. You guys have a pretty good chance, honestly, So why not shoot a little form out there? Yeah, again, we appreciate you guys. Scott, anything else?
One last little thing that came in. Somebody says a short text to describe the content would be nice. I'm gonna let everybody kind of hear. No, this is, I don't know, first announcement here of this, but we're doing like a big giant redesign of the site. And we have hired. You may actually know Travis Nielsen of Dev Tips fame, and his wife Jana are redesigning our entire website for us, and they're two of the very best people in the whole world. And so that is one of the big issues that will be fixed in this site, is that we will be adding a bit more information about each course, landing pages, better learning paths, more user features. Too much to go over right now, and we'll be doing I'm trying to think of little tidbits that we can drop along the way of what the process is. But Travis and Jana have been doing an amazing job, and like I said, if you follow Travis's YouTube career at all, you've seen a lot of his work. So if you haven't, go check out just Travis Nielsen on YouTube, Dev Tips TV. He's done a lot of stuff. So yeah, just a little extra there.
Really cool stuff coming everyone's way. We're really excited. All right. Well, that's that. Yeah. Happy Saturday and happy Friday, depending on where you are in the world. Hope you're all having good weather and happy times.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is. It's tornadoing over by you right now, but it is gorgeous and sunny out over here. Hey. So
did you hear my home rattling at all?
No.
I mean, you can kind of see on this window back here, maybe not.
It's just a movement.
They're the trees are going crazy.
Yep.
So hopefully things are still where they're supposed to be out there, and no trees up there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, good luck.
That's all I have. That's all we have.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Enjoy your Friday, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.